Hey guys, Thomas Jr. here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the movie The Protégé. If you end up enjoying this review, then please consider joining my Patreon page. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, consider subscribing. I'm trying to get to 200 subscribers still, so if you end up enjoying this review, please consider it. Alright, with that being said, let's get into The Protégé. So, this movie starts in 1991 in Vietnam. So we're in pretty separate territories as we follow a younger Samuel L. Jackson playing Moody, I believe his name is, who walks in on a building and upon seeing all this death, he seems to be some sort of investigation type character, and finds a young girl with an empty gun. So he decides to reload it and give it to her to see what she will do. She lowers the gun and he proceeds to take her hand. After that brief cutscene, we cut to 30 years later. So now, the bad guys, we're seeing this scene through this bad guy perspective. They're giving chase. They're having a bad time trying to find this woman. They're like gunning it out. And they take her and they bring her to the boss. However, the box thing that she has is a weapon. So she quickly turns the situation around and kills the primary target as long as two others. And as she makes her escape, she is proceeded to be helped by in the distance. And when she gets in her car, two people shoot at her, and she's not fazed by this at all, by the way. So, a little bit of and thus reunites with Moody Jackson, and he takes out the last remaining targets, and thus they make their quick escape. Alright, so through their actions they get paid, and we cut back to London, which is where their headquarters are, and we learn that it's his birthday. He gets a guitar, and he apparently has some sort of sickness. I don't know what it is, but he is getting sicker and sicker as the movie progresses. So he kind of attempts to goat her into going back to Vietnam to, I guess, like, try to get over her memories. But she's obviously very hesitant too at this point. And he makes a statement about, if you've been here, if you go to a location long enough, it will hurt you. So he wants to just bring her very briefly, or that was the assumption I was getting. We then cut to Michael Keaton, who plays, some guy named Michael, so that's convenient, who arrives at the bookstore, and he proceeds to, after not getting a book, proceeds to give her her number, and thus, I believe, after some amount of time, I'm not sure how much time, but when he leaves, the location is attacked. And she believes, after coming back from said attack and recovering, that she finds Moody / Jackson dead. So she brings this Joan that he had with him, which has his pick, and then she's almost killed once more as she ducks down, and she fakes her death to lure at least one of the guys in there, kills him, sneaks into the car, kills the other guy right before, all this before the police even arrive. So she learns this kid's name named Kays, and apparently a lot of people have been dying up looking, including him, Moody, has died in search of this person. So she goes to her, I guess he knew a motorcycle crew that she now associates with at this point. So she goes to the leader of them, and she wants some info about some guy named Volt, or I think that's his name. That's what I heard anyway. So she's looking into this Hayes kid and learns a little bit of info, but not too much. So she makes her threat to this guy. If she learns the truth, she will never be seen again. And she says the line, "If you're lying to me, you'll be the last thing you'll ever see." Something along those lines. Attempting of badassery, I suppose. But anyway, as we see her try to gather more intel, she cuts right to the business. She doesn't, dawdle around and any of that nonsense. So she's, again, focusing on Lucas Hayes as this individual. So some guy who works there, tries to attempt to kill her when she arrives. She attacks first, and then, to the craziest, or one of the crazier things I think I've seen, is that she makes her way into the vent. They have these mini auto handguns, or Uzis, or something along those lines, and they're shooting up at her. And she stands still in the vent, and they're shooting like crazy. I'm talking about an entire clip's worth of ammo, and they have 2 guns that are like that, as well as a handgun, a normal handgun, and they're shooting like crazy, and nothing, I repeat, nothing hits her. That is fucking insane. She stood perfectly still, and she didn't get harmed. That, my friends, is what you call a little bit of plot armor. To a crazy convenience, I would say. There's no way she got out of that unharmed, but she totally did. So anyways, let's see. So she sneaks off into this water area, and then as the men comes in, these 3 men come in, she shocks them by shocking the water. As she runs her way out, however, her plot armor is insta-removed as she's hit by a car and lands on another car. As someone who's hit by a car, trust me, it is not something that is convenient. And she hit 2 cars, so ow. Anyways, so she's captured now, so she's being questioned, tortured. They torture her via waterboarding. And Keaton's character offers her a last line of defense. They try to choke her out after the fact. She fights out after them thinking something. I think they think she's dead or something. And then she fights out. So she's able to escape before he gets back. So she goes back to the biker boss very briefly. And she goes over and talks about her past some more, where we see a flashback of him, Moody, helping these Vietnamese people escape into the boats. Then she proceeds to go to these nuns, or a particular nun, who looks into this Lucas Hayes kid. We learn about how Lucas Hayes is pretty much comatose, essentially. Uh, like, he looks, he has conditions and whatnot that prevent him from seeing or speaking, essentially. Anyways, so she calls Keaton, or he calls her, one or the other, uh, and they're talking about his boss. So they proceed to go to a diner, both of them, and point guns under the table. So she, Anna, and Keaton, Michael Keaton, go back to the attack at a separate location. After their intense battle, they, I guess they have the good go-around of sex, and proceeds to, kill, eventually, the, other guy. So yeah, she, has her fun, and after the fact, Moody arrives on the scene, and he proceeds to talk about how he lived through the situation and killed a guy who was black and apparently was the same height as him, so he clothed him in his clothes and put his body in the tub and with his clothes. So that is how he survived the attack. So, Keaton, wanting to try to warn his boss and his men, and he does so. He's like, because they're at this party now, and he's trying to look for her. She enters in as a waiter, but he manages to notice her in time, tackling her to the ground before she had a chance to shoot out his boss. We proceed to her running, and she finally does get shot in the shoulder, so now she's allowed to take pain in the movie because it's late in the movie, so gotta make her or heroine. All of a sudden now she can get hurt a little bit. And he's trying to figure out where she went. Looks in the camera room. Meanwhile, Moody gets in with the main bad guy, and they have a big talk with Father Hayes, who covered his tracks, was the one who essentially brought him up, taught him how to do the stuff, and now he's the one doing the big evils. So Moody, proceeding to say that he wants out of this whole situation, takes out a bomb, in which both Anna and Keaton, Michael Keaton, are outside, so they barely manage to escape the explosion as it claims everyone else, which is a bit reckless, I would assume, since the party didn't, I don't know, like, I don't know. The whole building blows up, by the way, so, for all the talk Moody did throughout his speech, I don't know, the last act he did, I'm just saying, it seemed a little bit fucked. Because he was talking about how he's an assassin, how he kills, people who deserve to die, and versus, our villain who just seems to do whatever. But again, Moody's last action is blowing up an entire building, so I don't know. Kind of fucked up, if you ask me. So, anyways, we cut back to her, where we relive more of her flashbacks, more of her childhood, where we see how she got in the situation she got into at the beginning of the movie now, where we see how these men killed her mother right in front of her, and I believe she had two sisters, or they were either her sisters or two other girls. I'm not sure which it is, but I'm assuming it's her sisters. Were killed again right in front of her, and she was the only one left. And as they brought her to their hideout for whatever reason, I don't know. I don't know what the implications of that was going to lead to, but probably nothing good, assuming the worst here. But they leave her alone for just enough time to grab a gun that they leave for whatever reason. So, we see how she had gunned them down, essentially. So, Keaton arrives at where she is, and she talks about how she is tired and he's tired and how he's trying to convince her, but it doesn't seem to end well, as they both end up once again pointing a gun at each other, and you just hear one gun fire as we see her walk out, meaning that she's the one who lived and he is the one who died. And that is how the movie ends. So, yeah. A bit of plot armor here to deal with her in the vent. I felt like that was a bit unnecessary and dumb. Probably could have had a better way of handling that situation. Maybe she moves a little bit more, or maybe they just have normal handguns instead of those Uzi machine guns, and it's harder to get gun off, something to save that scene, because as is, it is a little bit ridiculous. And the name itself, I gotta talk about this, the Protégé. I don't get it. I don't understand why this movie is called The Protégé. So the Protégé is someone who learns from someone else, obviously. Or maybe not obviously, but I'm telling you what it is. So there isn't a lot of her learning from anyone. She learns how to gun herself, as the back flash seems to indicate. So she didn't learn that from Jackson, and the movie doesn't proceed to tell us anything else she learned except that she's suddenly good at it. And that's the movie, is that she seems to already be the main thing, the main assassin. This movie almost, if there wasn't a movie called The Assassin, I would probably just call this movie The Assassin, because that is what she is. She is not a protege, she's an assassin. I feel that is a failure of just wanting a cool The title, I guess, and they couldn't choose The Assassin for whatever reason. Because there's probably another movie called The Assassin, even though there have been movies out there that have the same name, so I'm not sure why they couldn't just take that name, because, again, the Protégé, it doesn't make sense with this movie. That title is deceptive, is what it is, and I'm not a fan of that. Maybe I would say that's more of a subjective thing, but I'm usually not a fan of a thing is called this, and we don't see any of that thing in the movie at all. It just doesn't fit anywhere. But the movie also has plot armor, and I would say the character work is pretty basic. I'm going to give this movie 4 out of 10. Quite a few issues here. It's just So yeah, that is what I gotta say for this one. If you ended up enjoying this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you to my Discord server, the other to my Patreon page. Any donations are greatly appreciated. Until next time, everyone, bye-bye.